We're not studying this and getting very, very exact. I just thought I'll put in a little array of very simple shapes and I'm just going to doodle. I'm just going to doodle today, and I encourage you to do the same. So I'm going to dive in with a pen. I'm not going to bother doing any preliminary fancy sketches and no scaffolding sketching. I'm just going to follow these shapes, which are just long cylinders, and I'm going to throw caution to the wind. This is a caution to the wind lesson. So I'm just going to start drawing. So I'm left-handed, so I'm going to come across like this. If you're right-handed, you might want to come across like this or whatever. So it doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to dive straight in. I'm using a pen because I don't want to be too careful. I'm just not going to obsess. I'm just going to enjoy the process of making a mark today. So let's start off with this chap on the right. And look, I'm just going to whack up there with the barrel of that brush. I'm going to observe those little wibbly bits there. And then I'm going to come across there like that and down there. And, you know, it's all over the place, but this is going to be a very relaxed session. So the fact that my lines aren't straight, aren't behaving perfectly is nice, because I'm going to enjoy the process of just drawing. It's almost like you're 3 years old again and you're picking up your crayons, and I'm just drawing for the pleasure of making a mark on a piece of paper. Drawing for the pleasure of watching stuff come out the end of this stick in my hand and taking it from there. So what I am doing in the process of enjoying making marks, I'm making as many different types of marks as I can. So I'm doing a few zigzags. I'm putting in the basic shading with cross hatching. But other than that, I'm just playing. See if we can play. That's that done. I'm going to come back and I'm going to maybe put a bit of colour in there in a second. Just burn it. Right, onto the pencil. Again, I'm just going to go whack up there with that. I'm going to go across there like that and do that point like that. It's almost like you kind of need to look at this once or twice. This is different to what we usually do, because I'm saying, you know, draw what you see and study carefully what is it. Draw what you see and not what you think you see. But I'm trying to veer away from that a little bit today, and I'm just enjoying the process. So, having said that, I'm still seeing that the light's kind of coming down from there, and it's casting a little shadow on the surface that these pens and brushes are lying on. And we're going to come back to that because, you know, it's not purely abstract, but it's just very relaxed. Now there you see these pencils. It's a hexagonal cylinder, isn't it? So it has got faces on it, and this face is facing away from the light. So I'm just going to put a little bit of cross hatching in there to suggest that that's a shaded side. And he's done. Let's get into this marker. This is a more mechanical shape. So I'm drawing this cylinder with a bullet tip, and I'm going to shade in this bullet tip with dots, and I'm going to build up the concentration of these dots to suggest, you know, it's still got a bit of form. And, you know, because we are not 3 years old, we know that building up light and shade will build up form and create the illusion of 3D. So that's what we're doing there. Just doing that. But the rest of the time, we're just using what we can draw out of our pen. We're using all the, just trying to widen the vocabulary. The mark-making vocabulary that is on hand with a pen. And we're going to introduce a bit of colour into this a bit later on. So we're going to enhance what we can see. But today, I just want you to just work quickly, work fearlessly, and just scribble down all these different types of lines that you can. And also try and vary the thickness of your line here and there. Okay, let's press on to the next brush. Now, how would you draw a brush if you didn't think you knew what a brush already looked like? You might do something like that. If you were 3, that's probably what a 3-year-old would draw. That may be 5. Maybe what a 5-year-old would draw. This has got a shiny ferrule. So I'm just going to draw in. That's reflecting what's around it. So it's can be quite a challenge to try and represent reality with only lines, because at the end of the day, this can only draw lines, but they can be long flowing lines or short, fat, stumpy lines. This is a wooden handle that's a little bit careworn, so let's try and draw that. So look, I'm trying here. I've got hair, metal, and wood, and try and make hair, metal, and wood look different from each other. Try and utilize what you can do with your pen to make it look different. With the silver black velvet brush here, my weapon of choice. This one's got a different shaped tip. It kind of looks like that. Excuse me. And this is much darker. But don't fill it in with just solid black. There's still things going on. A few little stray hairs here and there. But this is really quite, now how would I do this? This to me looks quite solid black, but I just don't want to make this look like a silhouette. I'm just going to try and suggest that colour with thicker, stronger hatching. And also, you don't really want to, what am I trying to say? Although this is a black brush, if I were to colour it black, there would be no form to it. So even though it is black, make sure that you put in some indication of the shape. I'm going to come back and do that. You know, emphasize the colour of it with paint. But again, try and put as many textures as you can in there. Dots, dashes, zigzags. Okay. Let's get back to this guy. Chunkier brush, ferrule, to there. And again, we've got a wooden handle. So try and make it all, try and give each surface and texture a particular characteristic. See, look, I'm trying to make that wood look slightly different to this wood. These ferrules are nice because you can suggest the form around here with cross-hatching, just to suggest things going on like this. See? And there's a little, obviously this is reflecting whatever's around it. And we've got, maybe put a little zigzag down there. And then a big old mop of rough, worn bristles there. I'm trying to make these bristles look a little bit coarser than the other bristles maybe. So can you see we're trying to suggest, we're trying to describe every little surface differently. We've got wood, we've got metal. These bristles hopefully have got a different character to these bristles. It's not that easy when you're just working with a brush, sorry, with a pen with one width, one style, but you can do it. And if you can, your drawing is going to be richer for it. Now that little nib, a fine liner. With a tiny little nib like that. And then there's ribbing around this shoulder here. And I'm just, you know, for the sake of trying to make things look a little bit different, I'm just putting 4 little oblongs there. So hopefully you're finding, because we're not obsessing, we're certainly not going to be putting this in a frame anywhere soon. So we can just enjoy. I'm now gone completely off piste and I'm just playing. I'm going to put this last thin rigger. I might make this my last one and then throw some colour at it. This has got a little bit of a knurled ring on it there, which is nice. So a few little circles maybe. And a lovely long bristles there like that. A few gentle shady marks just to suggest what's going on there. It's got a very dark, because he's standing next to this black pen, he's reflecting the black pen, so I've got a black reflection in there like that. There, I'm kind of cool. Voila. Okay, nice little selection of drawing implements. I'm going to put a bit of paint on here now. So where's my old trusty brush? Back to this guy over here. And let's start just putting a few colours in. So, boom, wake these up. And I'm taking the same approach with my paint I did with the drawing. So, do you know what? I'm in such a laid back mood. I'm even going to utilize what I've got lying around in here. This was the last time I painted. So what have I got here? I've got a bit of old purple. Let's just start. Now, there are highlights in here. There are highlights in this brush which need to remain white. So I'm just going to quickly dash down a few strokes, but try and keep them spontaneous and fresh. See, I've gone in there and I've just plopped that in, and that's kind of enough. That looks to me like metal already. So I'm going to leave that like that. Happy with that. Rinse that off. Bit of tissue. Slightly yellowy tinge to the bristles. Now, there's being laid back and there's being slapdash and lazy. So if I want to do a bit of yellow, I need a bit of a clean patch to do my yellow. So it's a dirty, murky yellow, but just a little hint in there is kind of enough. And I'm going to use the end of my brush just to kind of do a bit of that. And that'll do me. Warm that yellow up and I'm into my pencil. Just a spot, just a hint like that. And a big splash. Excuse me. Look at that. I've just done one big splash there. It's random, it's haphazard, but it's got a certain spontaneity that I want to try and retain. There's bits of odd color in there. There's yellow, there's a bit of brown, there's a residue of that in there that was still in my brush, but I want to keep it really quick. I'm just going to go down there with that corner line there. I've just picked a random color and I've plopped that in as well. So that's made that turn round. That's given that a little bit of directional light. And I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that. Because when you abandon your preconceptions about what a painting should be, it should be careful because it's going to be something that somebody's going to look at and somebody's going to comment on. It kind of takes the fun out of it if you're not careful. So here again, look at that. I've just bished down there. Now look, let me hold that up there. Look how quick and spontaneous that is, but that quickness and that spontaneity communicates with the viewer and it says, look, this is done. This actually looks like he was enjoying doing this. And that's really what we're after. Try and express that freedom to make marks. Bit of brown in there. That's a bit intense, so I'm going to dab that. And not only does that take off a lot of the value, but it also adds a bit of texture, which is good. To my metallic ferrule. So I go down the cool end of the spectrum and just giving that a wipe down there like that. Still got the light coming down from the top left. I'm dancing around this palette as well, just picking up a bit of colour here and there. Not really getting too hung up on what looks like what. Just spotting that. See, that was quite nice. I just put a layer of water down and then dotted in a bit of colour. So that's just spread out and done something interesting there. Ooh, now to my black brush. Let's just get a bit of, I don't have a black in here, so I've got a very dark cobalty blue thing. And if I want to pull that away from the blue, I need to add something warmer like a brown or an orange. So I reckon if I just put a bit of that into there, that's going to neutralize that and make that pretty, a really nice kind of plain gray for my black brush. Now there are two tiny little highlights, specular highlights on this. So let's see, let's just try and keep that highlight going. I'm going to keep that bit silver there. But this is pretty black. And look at that, blacken up those bristles there. And that is kind of a black brush, suddenly that's done enough. But it's still got detail in here. You can still see that pen work we did showing through the watercolor, because watercolors, as we know, it's translucent. So you can see the work you did to shape that. Actually, while I've got that, I'm just going to come over here and do another layer on that. Add a bit more interest to this thing and build him up. And I might come down here as well to suggest that this is more rounded. So look, just putting that there, it starts to make this look more cylindrical. Like that. Nice. Okay, back to this chunky old, rough old brush here. Let's, now because these are silver and metallic, they're reflecting what's going on in the environment. So this is probably picking up a bit of furniture that's across the other side of the room. It's reflecting the ceiling, it's reflecting the walls. There'll be all kinds of colors in here if you look closely. So let's try and do that. Let's say, okay, I can see a little bit of beige in there. What's over here? Let's just see what happens if we wipe down there like that. And then maybe add a little bit of that, or even just come down with a bit of color like that. So what we're doing, this is a mirror, this is reflecting what's going on around it. And what's going on around it will probably have a lot of color in it. So I'm just putting down whatever, a kind of random selection of color into this. And can you see it kind of looks metallic because it's reflecting what's going on in its environment. And it's busy, it's busy. It's complex, but we're not getting hung up on complex. We're just enjoying splashing around today. Chunk in some very old knackered bristles. And again, I'm just putting a bit of color down, and I'm going to draw that out. Yeah, that's quite nice. Now I've got my brush tip in the paint here, and I'm actually drawing some bristles out with that. That looks like a very well worn brush now. This little marker here, I think he's kind of purple, bluey purple. He's got a bit of a purpley hue going on there, we can do that. Not too purple, you don't want it to jump off the page really. But let's try and... So what I'm doing is shiny, so he's got a highlight running down his barrel. I think I can make that a bit darker. But I'm leaving a little specular highlight that tells us that this is a shiny surface. Now this lovely rigger brush here. Again, we've got a metallic ferrule, so that metallic ferrule is going to be reflecting this purple brush, this purple fine liner down there. So if I come down there like that, that can start me off. So if I also then come down with a bit of that, cool it down with a bit of blue. Job's a good one. Hey, I've got this handle down here. It's a nice varnished golden handle down there. All about that. Nice. A little bit of splash of red on here. To make this really pink. And that is about that. That little red there has just really brought this to life. It looks a bit red poor, if there's such a word. So let's just try and spot in a little bit of red here and there. Okay, so that's a nice little array of doodles there. They're floating. Let's try and sit them on this surface. So to do that, we need to put a little drop shadow down the right-hand side of each one of these. So to do that, I'm just going to mix up a puddle of neutral colour. Let's see, kind of neutral-ish, but a bit purple. So that needs a bit of that because purple's complementary is, that's better. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down the side of each of these and just put a little shadow like that. And then suddenly he's sitting on a surface. And what we're really doing there is mimicking the silhouette of each one of these. And then, you know, suddenly these are all casting shadow, and suddenly you've got these implements are sitting on this page, and it enhances the illusion of 3D. And that's all it takes, just a quick white.
That's amazing, Martin, what that does.
Doesn't it make it pop?
Yeah.
Suddenly just brings it all to life. I'm not bothered softening the edge down because I think it's nice, crisp. The shadows are important because I'm leaving this edge sharp. It suggests that it's coming from a point source of light instead of a soft overall light. If this was a soft, for example, if we were outside and it was cloudy, this edge would be soft because the light's coming from loads of different places. Because this edge is sharp, it suggests that the light is coming from one little point like the sun. The sun will always cast a sharp-edged shadow. An overcast day would cast a soft-edged shadow. So this sharp edge here makes this look like sunlight. If this shadow was soft-edged, it'd look like a cloudy day. So this is quite nice that it's a sharp edge. It just looks like these are sitting in on a sunny desk.
Martin, should the shadow actually touch the edge on
Yeah, yeah, it should really.
So no white space in between?
No. Well, no, there's no light. I mean, if you think about it, it's where the sun's not hitting. So, you know, you're not going to get a little bit of sunshine in the middle of here, are you? In between. So, yeah. Zoom in a little bit of orange filament on there. And there, that's a really nice, warm-uppy kind of caution to the wind sketchbook class. Just, you know, and you can do it with anything. You can do it with your knives and your forks, or what is sitting at your breakfast table. Just have a doodle. Just have a doodle. It's very liberating. Not everything that you do needs to end up in a gallery, and you should abandon the thought of everything that you do ending up in a gallery, because a lot of the times it's just nice to just draw what you see and have a splash around. And it's you know, now I mean I'm warmed up now. I could go and do something else, and I'd be much more adept at tackling anything now. So there, yeah, a nice little relaxed warm-uppy thing today. There.
Thank you, Martin.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yep, brilliant. Thank you.
Low challenge today, but very, very enjoyable.
Yeah,
Caution to
very.
the wind, nice and easy. No hassle, no stress. And that's what it should be like, because it's the process that's important, not the finished result. You should just enjoy doing it, because that's where the fun lies.
Thank you very much. That was lovely.
And on that bombshell, I shall leave you all to it, and I shall see you very soon.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you,
Take
Martin.
care, everybody. I'll see you next
Bye.
week.
Bye.
See you
then.
soon. Bye,
Bye.
Martin.
Bye.
Bye.